Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Moffa, and with me is Sean McEvely.
Hello, everyone.
We are doing the Advanced Features 2 presentation from the 2019 Knowledge Aware Conference. It wasn't videotaped, so Sean, we get to do it again.
All right.
You down
Sounds
with that?
good.
All right.
Can't wait.
Let's get into it. Okay, Sean, let's go over our learning points for the Advanced Features 2 session. They are team collaboration on all Auros technologies is kind of what the team board does. It brings together a whole bunch of the important Auros technologies into one collaboration point. It's a one-stop shop for all timing assessments and issues, kind of restating the first point a little bit. And it introduces this aspect of timing and logical program timing, useful in program management to the general portfolio of Auros use cases. And lastly, Sean, I'm going to let you handle this one.
Team boards are awesome.
There you go. That's the most important one.
All right.
All right, so let's jump into demonstration. What do you say?
Sounds good.
And here we are at the Smart Tiles landing page. Sean's going to drive. I'm going to describe, and we'll talk a little bit. Sean, sounds good? All right. You did all the hard work preparing. Okay, so from Smart Tiles, to introduce this concept of team boards, we're first going to look at what we call a portfolio view. So Sean, if you don't mind, let's go to the team boards tile and look at the portfolio view. And here we see a series of projects currently ungrouped and cards. Sean, do you mind just grabbing one of these cards so you can just kind of see it's kind of a card that we can move around? And at this point, we need to introduce the concept of a Kanban board. Now, lots of people will be familiar with what a Kanban board is, but if you're not, the Kanban board was introduced in lean engineering. The idea is that each card on the board represents a unit of work or a project in this particular case, and the cards are summaries of that work, and they can be moved around and organized differently. So, Sean, let's look at some different organizations of this particular Kanban board. Okay, so you're going to go and change the swim lanes from no grouping to design phase. And now we can see these projects by design phase where each card represents a project. Sean, do we have another grouping we might show?
Yeah, so we got phase here. If we wanted to look at it by my association, so just all the projects that are applicable to me, we can do so.
So that's where your role is a swim lane. And so the last row, for example, is projects where you're just an observer. Right?
Correct.
Yep.
And then all these different other options. So another one we have here would be like project type.
Okay, yep. All right, so we got a basic idea of a Kanban board. We're going to see that a lot on the team boards. This particular portfolio view is a view where each card actually represents a project team board. So let's get into a specific team board now.
Okay. Yeah, so we have our example here for the Farbulator project. Go ahead and open this up.
And voila, we have an actual team board. So let's kind of take a look around the team board. First, let's point to the walls or the slats. So Sean, if you can just mouse over, you can see that each of these slats represent, we call them walls. And so what a team board is supposed to represent metaphorically is this concept of a war room. Some of you may be familiar with that idea, but the idea is that a team would have a dedicated meeting space and all their relevant information and key metrics and to-dos and plans are on the walls. And this is typically in a physical world, a dedicated meeting room. So what we've done is we've virtualized this concept where each of the walls represented here are these slats, and we can look at each wall individually, and each wall has a dedicated purpose. Make sense?
Yeah, and so these are all related to a specific project?
Yep, all specific project and specifically a specific team on that project, their role on the project. So typically in an automotive type scenario, when the company's large, any project may have many of these team boards. At smaller companies, there may be one team board for one project. It really depends on the size of the company.
Gotcha.
Right, we use these all the time ourselves. We use them for our software factory. We use them for our seed projects, and it helps our teams collaborate and perform better and visualize the work that needs to get done and to get better each time we go through a work project. This particular wall we call the master assessment. And the master assessment represents the process by which the team has agreed to work or to participate. We did an Advanced 1 session earlier today, and in the Advanced 1 session we talked a lot about how methods, knowledge packet methods and assessments of those methods can do process visualization. That's what we have here. This is a method. Here the method has some steps: the value proposition, initial scope, risk assessment, functional planning, milestone review, and the team can collaborate on how they want to work, what they're doing, how they're progressing through in terms of time, in terms of completeness, and in terms of quality of event. The halos represent different qualities of event, and we can visualize the work that's getting completed. Again, we went through this in the earlier session.
Right.
Okay, so the master assessment is a great way for the team to land on a page and understand as a team what work has been done, to what level of quality, and what's the next step in the process. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, but very interestingly, the method that is here on the master assessment has some logical timing elements to it. And again, we talked a little bit about that in Advanced 1, where these checkpoints, the flags, can calculate their due dates and their statuses based on the work activity inside the method. So here's one: the risk assessment schedule is met. I think all these schedules are currently being calculated as being met, yes. So, but the logical visualization of timing is interesting, but another and very common visualization of timing is the idea of a Gantt chart. So we've got a wall dedicated to the project's Gantt chart. And what's really interesting is that timing has many sources. And we find that it's very hard for a typical Gantt chart to manage timing that's coming top-down from a central planning system or from the customer. The customer demands a job one at time, at date YZ. The team has internal objectives that are based logically on the process on that inbound time, and then there are deliverables that are created ad hoc within the process, and we call this inside-out timing. So what's really cool about our team board Gantt chart is it's cognizant of all three levels of timing and allows them to interact with each other, and we're going to see that, right? So the checkpoints that are coming from the logical timing are in these folders. Sean, if you don't mind just opening, say, the scope and planning phase. And we see the intermediate checkpoints within that phase that are logically laid out based on either the timing elements within the process or even the end objective timing, say the job one date. The key dates that are coming top down are represented as the black milestones. Those could be coming from a customer or from some other kind of set of requirements externally. And we're going to show you the ad hoc deliverables here to be visualized on the calendar as well. So you've got the master assessment checkpoints being visualized or calendarized here in this really cool kind of Gantt chart that is interactive and not just a top-down placement of timing elements.
So basically what you're saying is rather than someone manually maintaining this Gantt chart, from this master assessment, we're actually collecting all of the timing, and that's feeding into the Gantt chart.
Right, and making date adjustments. And instead of copying a file, a generic plan file that's typically done, and then, what version of the plan did you guys use? And that we started a new project, but we checked out the wrong version of the plan. Now the strength of a knowledge packet and its ability to model the plan, not just have a listing of dates, allows us to be interactive and adjust and propagate the change, the logical change to the plan to teams in real time. And that's just not, you just can't do that by checking out a template file from Excel or from Microsoft Project Plan. It doesn't work, let alone the ability to interact with the timing and completion of other events, automatically updating the plan here. And we're tracking the time, and we get the data analytics about who's completed what and when, and it's that kind of tracking is hard to do, at least in Microsoft Project. It's very hard to do, if not impossible. So Sean, why don't we visit now some other walls?
Yep, so why don't we head over to the assessments wall.
All right, so the assessments wall is a Kanban board. We're talking about Kanban boards where each card represents a different assessment. A given project or a team can have many different kinds of assessments. They may have a DVP&R assessment. They may have an FMEA assessment. They may have a risk management assessment. They may have a requirements assessment. And we need to be able to visualize that work as it gets done. And the pie charts at least show us the level of conformance and the quantity of work that's been completed in any one of those activities. These assessments then are also can be visualized in the logical model of the process, the master assessment, the method as well. But if you just want to see the assessment work, we can come to this Kanban board. And as any Kanban board, we can do things like drag and drop to change status. We talked about this before. So Sean's doing that. There we go. So just by dragging and drop, we change the status, and it checks all the requirements for permissions and everything. And we can do the same things that we did before, like changing swim lanes. But here I think we want to demonstrate filtering maybe. So if we do a string filter maybe on verification. And so these are our two assessments. We have two verification assessments out there, none of which have much complete in them, right? We've got 25 requirements to verify in one assessment and 21 in the other. Just the idea is that these Kanban boards are very powerful in being able to visualize the work in different dimensions. Timing dimensions, completeness dimensions, function dimensions, and so forth. Okay, let's move on to the issues wall. Very much a similar kind of idea. It's another Kanban board with all those really cool features. Let's take a look at a different feature though. Let's go ahead and look at maybe going to the short card view, kind of give a summary, right? And we can change swim lanes if we want to. Can we just change the swim lanes to issue type? Group it by issue type, yep. There we go. And we've got a different visualization of the swim lanes. And again, the Kanban board is a powerful way to visualize the work that needs to get done and collaborate with teams. Okay, so, as we've seen, there's a lot of interaction between these walls, right, Sean?
Right.
Yeah, so we could make the checkpoints from the master method show up in the Gantt chart. Let's go back to the tall cards. And let's take one of these issues and put them as a deliverable into our Gantt chart. So let's go ahead and click on the calendar icon. Let's go ahead and click on the calendar icon and make one of these issues a deliverable that now has a date that's visualizable inside of the Gantt chart. So let's go ahead and pick a due date for this guy. Okay, save it. Now let's go over to the Gantt chart and visualize the deliverable. You put it into the phase one. So if you open up phase one, there's our issue that we just created. And now we can visualize its deliverable within the phase. So it's a really good way now that's the third way that we visualize the dates. We got the logical timing that's derived based on the team's plan. We have the top-down timing coming from the external system or the project milestones. And now we have the ad hoc deliverables being added into the Gantt chart. And they're added into the Gantt chart without us going to a separate file and inserting them, right? There's a very robust link between the two so that as one gets completed, it gets completed in the other view. So, Sean, let's go back and let's look to the issues wall. And let's look at another wall-to-wall interaction by opening up an issue. And let's work with its task list. So every issue can have one or more named task lists, and this particular issue has a task list called engineering task list. And Sean, why don't we create a new task inside this issue? And let's go ahead and give it a name. And then assign it out. So while you're typing it out, I'll explain to the people listening that the task is a very lightweight object in the Auros system versus an issue which comes with more features. We really want the task list to be very simple to track the lowest level work without having to require a person to go off and manage the task list in Excel. And we've been extremely successful in doing that. So now that we've got a task, it's tracked on an issue where it belongs, where there's a big unit of work. These are smaller units of work that need to get done against the issue. But if we want to aggregate just tasks, we can now, if we close out this issue. So now let's go to the task wall. And if you sort by, let's take off the completed ones. And there's the new task we just created with a target date of 11th of October. Sean, if you want to go ahead and complete that task so it doesn't stay in my task list. It's now gone. So it's a really, really cool, lightweight way of managing tasks without going to Excel, where everybody can still see what tasks need to be done as a team. And they're tracked against the unit of work for which they apply, which is really convenient from a program management standpoint.
So as they're resolving the issues, these are all the minor tasks or actions that need to take place
before
to close the issue.
To close the issue, right? And I can see my task list, I can see the project's task list, and it's a convenient way we've seen, and a more powerful way than managing these things in Excel. Okay, let's go to the reports wall. So the reports wall is a convenient way to aggregate and visualize all the management reports and program tracking measurables that are important to your project. So you can create all the custom reports that you want relative to assessments and issues aging and KPIs. And Sean, I think what we're going to do now is go away from this project and let's look at the real dashboard that we use on our internal software factory site.
Okay. Yep. So I will close out of this demo.
So here is our IQ2 release team board, which defines our process. And we're going to go over to the reports wall. And these are the real metrics we use to track the project and to manage risk in the project. Okay, so the KPI ribbon, we're going to go to total issue coded count and check out this KPI. I really like this KPI because it's showing us the bandwidth of work as it gets completed, and the gray line reflects the previous project, the previous release, and the work that got completed. And we can see the differences in the how and when work's getting completed, and see if we're doing more work, we're doing less work, and so it's a very good and visual way to track improvements in process and in work throughput for our software factory. I'm sure there's analogs in many other businesses. So the KPI ribbon is really important to us to track and manage the trajectory of a project. And so Sean, let's go ahead and close this KPI. And then we have all the relevant reports that our software factory process uses. So Sean, if you just scroll down, we can look at a few of these. Now, it happens that we tend to change these reports in different phases because some reports are more important in different phases, so we kind of change them in and out. But all these reports have drill down. For example, if we wanted to go into this report and just show all the Fresh Eyes IQ2 that have been complete, we click on the bar, and we see all those units of work as issues that represents. I'm going to scroll down, just take a look through the list. Okay. So that was a look at the team board reports wall that we use for Auros.
So we've looked at a couple of the issue reports, but it's not limited to that, right? We have all of the different assessment reporting and things like that. So we looked at a couple of examples with issues, but it goes across all these capabilities.
Right, and it's pretty customizable. The team can pin whatever reports they want to this wall, and everybody then has access to them. Okay. So I think we've done a good job of giving an overview, a very quick overview of team boards. I think we should now revisit our learning points to see if we've covered everything. So here we are at the learning points. So again, we were focusing on team boards, and the team board is made up of walls that represent visualizations of Auros technologies, the assessments wall, the issues wall, the tasks wall, and allows team collaboration around those. And in that collaboration allows, one spot to go for everything that they need to understand what's happening in that project. And it introduces this new to Auros, this idea of timing, where we have the logical timing, the top-down timing, and the deliverable timing, ad hoc deliverable timing. And so I think we did a good job of covering those three. So Sean, the last one.
Team boards are still awesome.
Yes, they are. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening to this recap of the Advanced Features 2 presentation that was given at the 2019 Knowledge Aware Conference. We didn't record it live, so we came back and recorded it for you here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.